put someone in with the skills necessary to get the job done. Even if that means, after 4 years of doing their best, they get sent home by the voters, because we're there to make a difference, and we're there to fix the problem. And with that, I'm going to be quiet, and Pat, do we have time for questions?
Absolutely.
I'd love to take some questions, but thank you very much for your time. I'm sorry, I'm moving. I shouldn't be moving.
Go right ahead, Ivo.
Can I answer any of your questions? Pat, Michelle?
I always have a question.
Of course.
I like to get things going.
No.
Actually, I have a question less about your running for lieutenant governor and more about your position as healthcare advocate.
Sure.
We are in a situation right now where we're considering going from to a self-insured health insurance plan. The other night at our town council meeting, I asked this question of our consultants, and amazingly, they could not answer this question, so I'm hoping you can. If we went to a system of self-insurance, would we still have to comply with all of the state mandates, such as paying for wigs for cancer victims and things like that? Would we have to do that?
You know, the reason your consultant probably couldn't answer that question because it's not a straight yes or no answer. It's mostly no.
Mostly no.
Mostly no. Because as a self-insured plan, you're federally regulated, not state regulated. But in the ERISA law, there is a provision for public governmental self-insured plans, envisioned to be municipalities, school district, and the like. They get access to all of the protections in the state law where they reside, but are not required in most cases to comply with all of the mandates. Now, the mandates are often tagged as the thing that drives cost. And that has been proven finally in Connecticut to not be the case. 51 cents was the average per member per month cost to add 6 mandates for people in Connecticut that included things like prosthetics and hearing aids for kids between age 12 and 18. So you have to be careful. I mean, going to self-insured, depending on the number of people that we're talking about, can make a lot of sense. And there's nothing to stop the town or the other self-insured entity from complying. You can choose.
So you can comply
Absolutely.
if you want to,
If you
but
want
you don't have to.
You don't have to.
That makes it kind of dicey, doesn't it?
To make it depends on who's making the decisions on what's the plan design is supposed to.
State employees have an opportunity to join the health care program. It's a pretty comprehensive cost at a pretty reasonable cost. What's your opinion on opening that up to self-employed or small businesses under a certain number?
You know, I supported the Speaker's bill, the pooling bill, to open up the state employee plan. When we costed it out, you know, what was it going to cost an individual or a small business, for that matter, to come into the state employee plan? It became cost prohibitive pretty quickly. What we really needed to do was to take, and that's what we're doing finally, to take the purchasing power of Connecticut and build different benefit designs. So, for example, build a basic benefit design, and then by rider on top of that, stack the extra stuff that you may want to add, but give everybody access to that basic benefit design, and use the pooling power of the state to support that. You know, I support all of that innovation. We worked hard on it. Sustanet, in part, which is, I'm co-chairing Sustanet, which is the state public option development, essentially. And that is one of the tenets of what we're doing, is to use that purchasing power to actually make a difference for people who are struggling to hang on to their policies. And also, it builds on this new platform of federal reform that we have, which makes it a much more attractive proposition than it did just a couple of weeks ago. That's it. No how dare you questions. Good. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.